to start?
How about I start?
Okay.
I get to go. I get to go first.
You start.
All right. So we met. It was in first of all, what year was it? 2011.
2011, yeah.
2011. Sarah was in a magazine here in Atlanta to be one of the most eligibles, you know, for Jezebel. It turned out I was showing a coworker this particular, you know,
Gal.
picture, a gal
I was like, this girl's so cute.
Yeah, and she goes, I know her.
All of the most eligibles were up for auction for a date, and the proceeds went to the Shepherd Spinal Center. His co-worker had sent, I grew up dancing with her, and she had sent me a note on Facebook saying, my boss thinks you're cute, wants to meet you. I said, well, come to this party, and he kind of like followed me around all night, and she just kept popping up.
You know.
And he asked me out a few times, and he had kids, and he lived in Alpharetta, and that wasn't on my...
I also went to University of Georgia, and she didn't want to go out with anybody from University of Georgia for some reason. I don't know why.
I was in my, what I like to call my, what do I call it? My cynical singledom. It was when I had this BS list of things, and if you didn't meet that list,
she was
like,
very
next.
ITP also.
I was this little city mouse. So I was like, no thanks, no thanks. And then when he said, am I gonna have to be the high bidder to take you out? And I said, pretty much. Ultimately,
I became the high bidder, so I won the charity date. We both really liked each other a lot. We had a fun conversation. It turned out we had the same kind of dogs. We had the same kind of interest in life. We both grew up here. It was one of those kind of things though where it's like, maybe the timing's not right at this point in our lives.
I made a joke, like I want to go have some really bad chain food, like from a chain restaurant where everything tastes the same. I haven't been to the Olive Garden in so long. So I think it was a few months, or maybe a month went by. It was around Thanksgiving. And
it was about a month went by.
Sent me an email and was like, hey, why don't we go have some really bad chain restaurant food together? Meet me at the Olive Garden. So I get there and he lifts up this box from Godiva. I said, what is this? I'd posted on social media, I think it was on Facebook earlier, about how I'd found out that Godiva was making like a green apple chocolate of some sort.
Yeah,
caramel apple chocolate. I've never heard of this.
It was hard to find.
I couldn't find it, so I wrote something. Well, he went and scoured, I don't know.
I found it somewhere.
Mini malls to find these for me. So
and I don't like malls.
He lays these chocolates in front of me. And then I made out with them later that night.
Yeah, just a little bit. It was kind of a PG date, so that was our second date.
That was our second date.
We dated superficially for 6 or 7 months, meaning we were unwilling to go deep. Yeah. So we both were at a point in our lives, and we both just we went out, we had fun with each other. There was never a question of could we have great conversation or dialogue or...
We would go have lunch and 7 hours later we would be still sitting.
We notoriously shut down every restaurant we went to. I mean, we would look up literally night after night and be like, well, we're the last ones here again. So we had all that, but we were unwilling to go deep. Neither one of us wanted to go below the surface.
I couldn't be vulnerable.
Yeah, neither one of us. So that didn't work, so we stopped dating. New Year's Eve of 2012 came. And we'd been kind of hanging out and just having, you know, again, all these endless conversations. And man, New Year's Eve, I was out with some other friends down in the Midtown area. And I don't know, about 10 or 11 o'clock, I was like, this is just not working for me. The group I was with, and I literally, I tracked her down. I knew where she was at the time, but I was like, I'm going to go find Sarah. And hopped in a car and got a ride down there. And walked in and found you.
Yeah, and he stayed with me that night. We stayed up till 4 in the morning. I made a quiche.
Yeah, you sure did.
And then he left the next day, and I remember I felt sad.
And again, I slept on the sofa that night. I mean, it was just like, but I was missing that person being with me. So
I was sad when you left. I remember going, oh, I've never felt this when he leaves before. And I was like, I want him to come back.
At one point, she came to me and she kind of said, hey, look, how would you feel about seeing a therapist with me?
Yeah.
And I was like, a therapist, that's what you do when you're going to get married and stuff, or you're already married, and I didn't get it at all. And but she said,
I said we need some tools in our communication toolbox because we are not doing a good job. And we both had our own baggage, his divorce baggage, my, you know, being single until I was 31 baggage, and all, you know, what that looked like.
What do you mean you're going to go to therapy when you're
to date? Like most people do it when it's too late. It's like, well, let's go now that everything's fallen apart. I was like, what if we do it?
What if we get ahead of that? Right.
Before nothing's fallen apart, but we needed some tools.
Yeah. So we learned I think we learned how to really be vulnerable, and we learned how to really communicate, and we learned how to really accept everything about the other person unconditionally. And I have teenage daughters, you know, from a prior marriage, and And deliberately, you know, one of the pieces of advice I got from a guy that I really trust and care about one day said, don't ever introduce someone to your daughters until you know they're the one. Let your daughters know that they are all that matters in your life, right? I was like, that's really interesting. So we dated for 1.5 years. Is that right?
I can't remember.
It was a good 1.5 years or longer before I ever introduced my daughters to Sarah.
A year and a half.
And she bought into it. She got it. She understood that it was about those two girls.
Our first outing as the girlfriend and the family, we went to the Imagine Dragons concert. So that was cool because it was, you know, like something they really enjoyed.
Yeah, there was music for the kids, loved it, and we liked it.
I found a cool restaurant for us to go to, and they thought it was really cool. So that was like the first, okay, all right, I'm in a little bit. It was important to me that they feel like I'm their friend, and I'm not trying to, I would never try to come in and be mom. That would be crazy.
They were critical and really a big part of our engagement. So Sarah had been wanting to go to Disney World for just years. We did the proposal right there in front of the castle, and the girls were a huge part of it. One videoed, one gave me the ring, and we all had a big group hug, and she said yes, that was the best part. So
yeah,
they love her. They just love her, and
I love them.
And they have a special place in their hearts, you know, for you.
They're the best girls. They're so sweet.
Yeah, she is genuinely one of the sweetest, most kind human beings you could ever imagine. I mean, are you kidding? She's got the sweetest heart in the world, if that's not obvious.
I love your brain. I love his brain, the way he thinks about things. And even though he's a businessman and he's got a business brain, he's like perfectly split. He's very creative. And just the way he thinks about things, whether it's a new business or something creative or a problem in the household or in our relationship, the way he thinks about it, I just admire your brain so much.
She touches my heart.
I love
She really does. I love you, baby.